वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Yashmati from Chicago. Once again, welcoming all of you to the mid-morning Japa session. I thank all of you for attending this session and giving your beautiful association. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. Let us move to our next part to the session, which is Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. May I know who all have joined this morning?
Hare Krishna, Yashmati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Gauranga, and all assembled devotees that are joining from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shashidhar Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining every day and beautiful chanting, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasini Devidasi from Atlanta. Thank you for helping me.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasini Devidasi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining and giving your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtida Sundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Sundari Devi Dasi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and Sri Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your beautiful services to Bhakti Sangha. Hare Krishna. Very eagerly waiting. Is there anyone else? Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa Group, all devotees. Before we start the session, I would like to read the Prabhupada's quote for today. Vedic civilization means the husband should be a sincere servant of Krishna and wife should be a sincere maid servant of the husband. Mayapur, March 2nd, 1976. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Devidasi Mataji on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, chapter number 17, verse 11 onwards. Thank you very much, Mataji. Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for giving your very valuable time in association to us this morning and enlightening us on this topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. I now hand over call to you from Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for your association. Thank you for warmly welcoming everybody. Thank you each and every one of you for joining us in this today's session of Caitanya Bhagavat. So really, really grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful association. Always look forward to it every day. Okay, so without further ado, let's start our Caitanya Bhagavat reading. Let's offer our prayers to Mangala Charan and then we'll move forward. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्ण भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमाभदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रस प्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। आजानुलंबित भुजनौ कनकावधातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ। जयति जयति देवा कृष्ण चैतन्य चन्द्र जयति जयति कीर्तिस्तस्य नित्या पवित्रा जयति जयति भृत्यास्तस्य विश्वेश्वमूर्तेर् जयति जयति नृत्या तस्य सर्वप्रियाणाम्। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदाले कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपया तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौरा भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौरा भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौरा भक्त वृंदा। श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much once again for your wonderful association. And as we move forward with our Caitanya Bhagavata session, I seek blessings, prayers, and wishes from each and every one of you so that I can speak something relevant to this subject matter and also imbibe whatever I speak, also imbibe all that in my day-to-day life. So please bless me. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. So we are in Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda, the last chapter, that is chapter number 17. And then we will embark our journey to Madhya Khanda. So see how the time passes. It looks like we just started Caitanya Bhagavata and we covered the 2 volumes of Adi Khanda in all of your association. That's the power of association, where we read Caitanya Bhagavata, where we glorify the Supreme Lord, and we also purify our own selves. So we are in the 17th chapter, and this 17th chapter entitles Lord Journey to Gaya, right? What's the chapter is? The Lord's Travel to Gaya. That's the chapter entitled. So we have already covered the 10 verses, and the 10 verses, what we covered is that the condition of all the Navdeep Vasis were not good. There were so many materialistic people who were just engrossed in sense gratification, and they were nowhere close to do something for Krishna, to do something for Krishna consciousness. Their consciousness was very much degraded. And also there were so many people who were thinking themselves to be Prakriti Sahajas, who were nowhere close to even sadhana bhakti, and they were depicting all the symptoms of bhava bhakti. So they were all mixed class of people. And then there were very few handful of devotees. And there came the time where the Lord thought, okay, this is the time that I should now start my Sankirtan movement. So this idea came in the thought of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he thought that now I have been seeing that these miscreants, they are nowhere close to Krishna consciousness, and they are so much blaspheming all the Vaishnavas. So what is the point? Though I've been teaching and studying, but still people are in distress. So what's the point? Now I should start the Sankirtan movement. I should visit Gaya. But then he thought that first, before starting the Sankirtan movement, let me manifest myself, because Mahaprabhu came in a Narvat Leela, in a human-like pastime. So therefore, he just abruptly cannot start that Sankirtan movement, because he himself was doing all those mischievous activities when he was in Navadvip. So he needs to follow the proper orders of that we should do it in our human form of life. So what we do, when we are so much keen in that spirituality, when we want to know about that spiritual knowledge, the first and the very first we think is Guru Padashraya. We take shelter of Shri Guru's lotus feet. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, that here is the time where I need to take initiation from Ishwarapuri. And also in pretext of performing the Shraddha ceremony of his father, he decided to go to Gaya, right? The holy place of Gaya. And then this is the recap what we covered in 10 verses. I'll share my screen and we will start with text number 11. So this is Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur's Caitanya Bhagavata. So text number 11. Shastra Vidhi Matta Shraddha Karmadhikariya Yatra Kari Chalila Aneka Shishalaya. Shastra Vidhi, as per the injunctions of the Shastra, as per being the directions laid down by the Shastras, Shraddha Karmadi, to perform the Shraddha ceremony for his father, as per the scriptural injunctions, not as per his own whimsical thought or concoction, but as per Shastra Vidhi, desiring Mahaprabhu, he desired to perform the Shraddha ceremony for his father. And Yatra Kari Chalila Aneka Shishalaya, and therefore he started his Yatra. So in those days, definitely there were no airplanes, no buses, nothing. So whatever Yatra you have to do, you have to follow. You have to do it barefoot, while walking, you have to do it. So that is what is called as doing Yatra. So he performed that Yatra. He started going towards Gaya, and with not alone, Aneka Shishyalaya, along with many of his students. So we saw that how, while performing his Vidya Vilas Leela, while performing his childhood pastimes as a Pandit, Nimai Pandit, he has a lot of students with him, right, who follow him. So he took a lot of his students and he thought that I should go to Gaya and perform this Shraddha ceremony. So yesterday, His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhu explained so much about the tonality of the Supreme Lord and how he also desired to perform Shraddha ceremony. And so he desired to go to Gaya. And the point was coming that how we, being in Krishna consciousness, Krishna says, right, when you are in 100% Krishna consciousness, then there is no rules and regulations to be followed. So how we should behave when we are in Krishna consciousness, should we perform or should we follow such rules and regulations? So the answer is yes, we should, because first of all, we are not on the level of pure bhakti, where we think that avashya Krishna barakshay vishwasa palana. We are not on that level. We still struggle to have that faith in Lord Shri Krishna. So definitely no pure devotee will consider himself to be a pure devotee. So we are not on that level, especially for me. And what to talk about us, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, but because he's performing this Narvat Leela, he's performing this human-like pastime, even he thought that it's best that I should do something that a common man can follow. Yat yat achrati shreshtas. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I don't have to do any work, but I do it so that the common men follow. That's the leader. The leader doesn't just talk, just also walk his talk, right? So we should try to follow. And then what to talk about us, even Prahlad Maharaj, who was a Mahabhagavat, was instructed by Nrsingadev himself. So when Nrsingadev ripped apart the intestines of Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu was finally dead, at that time Nrsingadev told Prahlad Maharaj, Kurutvam preta kartyani pitu putasya sarvasha mad anga sprashanenga loka yashati sprujaha. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, verse number 22, where he says, Lord Nrsingadev is telling to Prahlad Maharaj, my dear child, your father has already been purified just by the touch of my body at the time of his death. Because, see, Lord Nrsingadev himself has to come to kill Hiranyakashipu. So what more auspicious death it can be? But he said that your father's body has already been purified because I have touched that body, right? Nonetheless, the duty of a son is to perform the Shraddha, the ritualistic ceremony after his father's death, so that his father may be promoted to a planetary system where he may become a good citizen and a devotee. Though Nrsingadev has already given a boon to Prahlad Maharaj that 14 generations will be delivered, will be liberated. But still he instructed Prahlad Maharaj to perform this Shraddha ritualistic ceremony. How important it is. When a person, when a Mahabhagavat like Prahlad Maharaj was instructed directly from Nrsingadev, then definitely you and me don't have any excuse of not performing. So we should perform these Shraddha ceremony. So although the Lord himself states that by his touch Hiranyakashipu was liberated, still the Lord advises Prahlad Maharaj to perform that Shraddha ceremony. So this is how it highlights the importance of performing Shraddha. And it is duty of the son to perform Shraddha ceremony. We see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that even Advaita Acharya, who is Mahavishnu himself, also performed the Shraddha ceremony for his forefathers. And we know the pastime that how he offered the prasadam, he invited all the brahmanas, but the first plate of that Mahaprasad was given to Srila Haridas Thakur, because he says that all these brahmanas are one side, but you chanting 3 lakhs names every day, always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, is much more higher than a brahmana. So I don't regard your caste, whichever caste you belong, but for me, you are more worshipable than anybody else. So the first plate of that remnants of Lord Vishnu was first offered to Haridas Thakur. So these are some examples we see that even in scriptures, it has been recommended that how we should perform the Shraddha ceremony. And normally the Shraddha ceremony is performed on a tithi wise. If the tithi is missed, then, you can perform the Shraddha ceremony on Amavasya tithi. There are various things. These oblations to the fire can be performed. But here, Srila Jiva Goswami actually quotes that, yes, you can perform this Shraddha ceremony, oblations to your forefathers on the exact tithi or also on Amavasya, but should never be performed on Ekadashi tithi. When the tithi of the death anniversary, suppose it falls on Ekadashi, still on that day, the Shraddha ceremony should be held not on Ekadashi, but on the next day, that is Dwadashi. And in this regard, Srila Jiva Goswami in the Brahma Vivarta Puran, he says, Ye kurvanti mahipala shraddham chakadashi dine. Cha Ekadashi dine. If that shraddha falls on Ekadashi dine, then you should perform it on Dwadashi. If somebody performs that shraddha on Ekadashi itself, trayaste narakam yanti data bhokta cha prekta. So if somebody performs the oblations to the forefathers on Ekadashi, then, then the forefathers for whom that Shraddha is performed, the Purohita, the family priest who encourages the ceremony, and the performer of that Shraddha ceremony, the persons who perform, everybody goes to hell. So we should be very, very careful that we should never, never, ever perform this oblations to forefather, this Shraddha ceremony on the day of Ekadashi. Should never be performed. Even if the tithi falls on that day, we should do it on Dwadashi day, or we can do it on Amavasya day. But it is very, very important. Bhagavatam 11th canto also states that how when the man is born, when a human form, when the human being is born in this world, then he is having that 5 debts. Panch rin he has, and one of the rin is Pitra rin. So what are those 5 debts? Pitra rin, Matra rin, Deva rin, Rishi rin, and Bhuta rin. These are the 5 rins, but these are the 5 debts in which a person, as soon as he is born, is always into it. So one of the rin is Pitra rin. So that can be avoided if one performs that oblations to his forefathers, if one performs the Shraddha ceremony. So how important it is that Mahaprabhu also desired to perform this Shraddha ceremony for his father, not on just whimsical thought, but as per the Shastras. See, he sings Shastra Vidhi as per the scriptural injunctions, because the previous acharyas, they have also done it. So Mahaprabhu also wants to follow in the footsteps, and he, being Krishna himself, also want to lay down the right principles for the future generation to follow. So finally, having this, the Lord departed for Gaya with many of his students. But Vrindavan Das Thakur writes that he just didn't depart. What he did? Jani nira agyalai maha harshamane chali lena Mahaprabhu Gaya darshane. So the Lord first took permission from his mother Sachi and then happily left to see Gaya. This is again a very, very important point, that whenever we also leave the home for any work, not just here, definitely the Lord is going for a higher cause for doing some Shraddha ceremony. But even if we leave the home for any work, maybe for grocery or maybe for anything, we should pay obeisances to our deities, and we should respect the elders. We should notify them, we should take their permission, and we should leave. So even the children should have this habit inculcated in them, that whenever they also leave, they should also make sure that the elders in the home know about it, have their permission, not officially, keep on asking the permission, but they should be notified where they are going, for what purpose they are going. And if elders are not there, then definitely we have the deities at home. So we should offer their obeisances, and as soon as we come back, we should offer them the obeisances that we are back. So the Lord, he is taking permission from Mother Shachi and then happily left to see Gaya. Sarva deshe grama kari punya tirtha maya shi charana haila Gaya dekhita vijaya. So as the Lord was passing through various towns, villages, because it was a barefoot yatra, right? It was not on some bullock cart, or it was not on some vehicle, but it was barefoot. He was walking along with all his Shishya Ganas, and he was crossing various towns and villages. And what he was doing, because he is Mahaprabhu, he is Lord Krishna himself, he was turning all the holy places by the touch of his lotus feet. So Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur writes that second line in this verse indicates that the Lord's lotus feet in Gaya came to Gaya. In other words, Lord Sri Gaurasundra, whose sanctified feet are the source of all holy places, came here in order to purify the holy place of Gaya. In the Lord's journey to Gaya, all those villages and places that were marked by his lotus feet, which purify the entire universe, became famous as most sanctified holy places. So what to talk about Mahaprabhu, even Mahaprabhu's bhakta, if somebody who is so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness, who is a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, even if they travel to the places of pilgrimage, they also turn those places. If they walk through any of the place, they turn that place into the place of pilgrimage. And what is the praman? Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Bhavata Vadya Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Sthanta Sthena Gadaprita. So this is the verse is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam when Vidura came back to Hastinapur after his pilgrimage yatra, and Yudhishthir Maharaj is addressing Vidura that, your good self, you yourself is the holy place personified. Why? Because you carry the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord in your heart, and therefore you turn all the places into pilgrimage. Right? So even the ordinary place can become the place of pilgrimage if it is being visited, if it is being touched by the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. Why? Why it is so? Why? Because Yudhishthira Maharaj himself is saying, because you carry the Supreme Lord in your heart. You carry the Supreme Lord. The pure devotees, the Mahabhagavad devotees, they carry the Supreme Lord in their heart. Tomara hriday sada Govinda Vishram. Govinda Korena Mora Vaishnava Pran. Because in the heart of the devotees, Govinda Vishram, Lord Govinda, he takes residence. He takes the eternal residence in the heart of the pure devotees. And Krishna himself says that, Govinda Kohe Mora Vaishnava Pran, that my life and soul is also Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are in my heart. So in the heart of Vaishnavas, Lord Govinda resting place is there, and Govinda says that in his heart Vaishnavas are there. So because of this, therefore, whenever they cross whichever place, that place itself becomes sanctified and becomes the place of pilgrimage. So this is how even the Lord, who is passing through various towns and villages, was sanctifying that area, because he is the source of everything. He is the source. He is not in an ordinary human form of life, but he is the source of everything. So he can purify anything. So wherever Mahaprabhu was going, that place itself becomes the place of pilgrimage. Till date, people, a lot of devotees, when they travel to South India or whenever they travel to any of the places, they want to follow the route of Mahaprabhu. Why? Because that place itself becomes the place of pilgrimage, because Mahaprabhu went to that place. Right? So text 14, Dharma, and what he was doing while walking, while purifying, while going through various towns and villages, what he was doing? Dharma katha vakko vakya parihasara se mandara aila prabhu katha kadivase. So Dharma katha, he was discussing about the religious topics, about dharma. Vakko vakya means the dialogues, the communication, the conversation that was happening between him and other people, and parihasarase, and also, conversing some jokes, cracking some jokes with his students. So this is all Mahaprabhu was doing. And after a few days, Mandara Aila Prabhu Khateka Devase. And after a few days, they all arrived at Mandara Hill. And then what happened at Mandara Hill? Dekhiya mandare madhusudana tathaya brahmilina sakala paravata swalilaya The Lord first saw the deity of Madhusudan on the top of the hill, and then he wandered about the hill according to his desire. So first of all, the Lord saw the deity of Madhusudan. Now, my request to the devotees, do anybody knows about any context of Mandara Hill? They want to unmute and tell that where they have heard about this Mandara Hill.
Churning of the milk ocean.
Very good. This is the churning. This hill was used as the churning rod when the churning of ocean happened between the demons and the devotees, between the demigods and the demons. So this is the importance of Mandara Hill. Now, Prabhupada, in one of the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, he quotes that how there are different personalities. So we know that how the Lord manifests himself into the form of Archa Vigraha, right? So we don't say the idol. We don't say just a murti. So what we say is we call them the Archa Murtis, by which, even the common man can appreciate the beauty of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord is actually transcendental. He cannot be Indriya Bhavan, through our Indriyas, we cannot understand the Supreme Lord through our mundane senses. We cannot see him with our eyes. We cannot hear with our present ears, and we cannot do anything. But to the degree we have entered into the service of the Supreme Lord, to that proportion, proportion, we understand the Supreme Lord. But how can we perform the service? Lord is not present to take our service, but yes, in the form of Archa Vigrahas, the Lord is there. He's there in every temple. He's there in every home, right? Where he can accept that our service. And when we perform those services to the degree, with so much dedication and sincerity, when we perform those services, to that proportion, our lives are free from those sins. So these Archa Murtis, these Archa Vigraha in the temple actually allow us, they facilitate us to see the Lord, to glorify the Lord, to see the beauty of the Lord, and also to perform some services. It's only the foolish, materialistic, mundane, atheist people think that this is not Archa Vigraha, but they think that it's just an idol. It's just the deity worship for them is just a Murti Puja. And for them, the Murti doesn't hold any importance. But that is not the case. The pure devotee, the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna, they always respect these Archa Vigrahas because Krishna himself has manifested in the form of Archa Vigrahas to accept our services for our purification, so that when we perform those services, we get relieved from our sinful reactions. So Prabhupada actually in one of the purport, he quotes that the Lord in Mathura is present as Adi Keshava. And in Puri, in Orissa, the Lord is present as Lord Jagannath or Purukshottama. In Allahabad, Prayag, we know that he is present in Bindu Madhava temple. We know about this pastime that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he liberated, he delivered, he converted all those Mayavadis, followers of Prakashananda Saraswati into devotees. And it was in Varanasi. So there, Mahaprabhu went to Bindu Madhava temple. And then Prabhupada quotes that in Mandara Hill also, there is a presence of Madhusudana, right? So the Lord is actually, he quotes from one of the, I don't remember exactly, but he quotes, Sarvatra, actually this is from, I don't know, maybe from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He quotes, Sarvatra prakashatana bhakta shukhadite jagatera dharmanashi dharma sthapite. The Lord has so distributed himself all over the universe. How? In the form of Archa Vigrahas, just to give the pleasure to the devotees, to give the common man, to facilitate in the service of the Supreme Lord and to eradicate their sins. So this is how Sarvatra Prakashtana, Bhakta Sukhadite, to give pleasure to the bhaktas. Jagatera Adharmanashi, and he eradicate all the irreligious principles that is there in the world. And Dharma Sthapite, and establish the religious principles in the world. Eradicate all the sins and establish the religious principles in the world. How he is distributing himself? In the form of Archa Vigraha, in the form of Archa Murtis. So we should try whenever possible. We should also not become lazy of doing deity worship. Rather, we should do it with so much enthusiasm. And this is also taught by Mahaprabhu, that as soon as he reached that Mandara hill, he saw the deity of Madhusudana. He first of all went and took darshan of Madhusudana deity. In Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur actually quotes about where this Mandara hill is and how you have to go. This is how, he quotes. So we'll move on to text number 16. E mata kata patha ashite aradina jwara prakashilana dehete. Now the important pastime to establish one siddhanta, particular siddhanta, Mahaprabhu enacted one pastime. And Vrindavan Das Thakur and of course our Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself says that this was a drama that was enacted by Mahaprabhu. So while traveling, mata kata patha asite, slowly when they were going through all these places. So one day while traveling, Aradina jwara prakashilana dahete, the Lord manifested a fever. So this is the fever pastime that Lord enacted on his way to Gaya. He has yet not reached Gaya. He's on his way. And in the middle of this way to Gaya, he enacted this fever pastime. There are two purports, text 16 and 17, and we'll go each and every line because it is very important. That why Mahaprabhu manifested this fever pastime. This will be the crux, this will be the essence of our session today. Although the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Gaura Sundar, is eternally perfect and possess a Satchidananda body, in order to deceive and bewilder the conception and intelligence of the materialists who are illusioned by Maya, he performed the drama of becoming afflicted with fever, just as the ordinary mundane body of a living entity who is forced to accept the fruits of his karma becomes afflicted with fever. So we all know that when we also get fever, why do we get a fever? Because there is some infection that is going on in our body, because our body is made up of blood, urine, pus, stool. We all know all these abominable substances are there in our body, and because of some infection, there is a fever. So it is also our karma, which is coming in the form of a fever. Some reactions of our sinful actions are manifesting in the form of diseases in our body. We all know somebody who is suffering from cancer, somebody who is suffering from illness, somebody who is suffering from any kind of disease is actually the reactions of our previous sinful actions. This has to be very, very clear. But now if somebody is suffering from some problem, we just don't go and say, hey, this is what is because of the reactions of your past sinful actions. This is not the right way. This is for us, our own understanding, that if I am having some problem, I should take it that this is just a karma. This is just a karma that I'm going through because I have done something wrong in my past life. And because of that, reactions are coming in the form of these diseases. This is for us to understand that I am going through that karma. Now the Supreme Lord Gaura Sundar's body, we all know that it is made up of not an ordinary things, the Panchabhutas that body is made up of, our body is made up of. His body is a Satchid Ananda body. Right? We all know this. But still, he manifested a pastime of having a fever like an ordinary soul, like an ordinary mere mortal body. Like that, like an ordinary mundane body of a living entity, he also took that thing as a fever. Now, what is the reason? There are 4 reasons that is being described in these 2 verses, verse 16 and verse 17. So first reason is given in this verse 16. It is because to teach the ordinary people, ordinary materialistic people. Why? Because ordinary materialistic people who are illusioned by Maya, they think that the Supreme Lord is also an ordinary human being. they don't think that Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself and his body is made up of Satchit Ananda. They also think that this Mahaprabhu is having the ordinary body just like us. So that is the mentality of an ordinary materialistic people who were there. So to teach them, to strengthen their faith, because their faith is that Mahaprabhu is an ordinary human being. So to strengthen their faith, the Lord manifested this pastime. That, okay, you think that I'm an ordinary person, let it be. May your thinking, may your thought process be strengthened enough. May you become fixed in your faith, considering me as an ordinary body. And just to say this, Lord manifested this fever pastime. In Bhagavad Gita also, we know, avajananti mamura manusham tanumashritam. Those who, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that actually fools think, mudas, they think that I have descended in this human form of life, so I have this human body. They don't consider that I have a human-like body, but they consider me also as an ordinary human being. Why? Param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Because they don't know my transcendental nature. They don't consider me as the supreme. They are so fool, they are so fool because they think that I have come in this human form of life and therefore I am an ordinary human being. Krishna says that there are such kind of fools. To strengthen their faith, Krishna says, Ye yathamam prapadyate tam sataiva bhajamiham. As you surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. So if you think that I am an ordinary human being, so be it. So be it. May your faith be strengthened enough to consider that I am an ordinary human being. So this was the first reason. Actually, there are not reasons. Actually, these are the various kinds of people. To teach them, Mahaprabhu depicted this fever pastime. So for 4 classes of people, right? So the first is ordinary human beings, ordinary materialistic people who don't think that Mahaprabhu's body is made up of Satchidananda. Rather, they think that Mahaprabhu's body is also an ordinary body. So to teach them, Mahaprabhu says that yes, okay, if you think I'm an ordinary human being, let me have this fever pastime. Even just like you, even I am also having fever because of my past karmas. So to strengthen their faith. Just like we also see the example of Lord Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna also left behind material body, and this is the proof for the materialistic people. The materialistic people, the atheists, they still think what to talk. They think, oh, you talk about your Krishna? What type of Supreme Lord he is? He left his body. We know that how Arjun cremated the body of Krishna and Balaram and all the Yaduvasis, all the Yadavas, right? Because Krishna wants to tell them, okay, if you think that I'm an ordinary soul, I have an ordinary body, so be it. Here, I'm leaving my body and I'm going back to my spiritual world. So to strengthen their faith. Similarly, Mahaprabhu also took this thing in his way to Gaya, that okay, to teach these, to tell them, these materialistic people, that okay, if you think I'm an ordinary body, let me have this fever and let me make your faith, your belief, strengthen your faith, considering me as an ordinary body. But actually, I want to share another screen where actually it is said that those who consider Krishna's body as an ordinary body, they are the great sinners. They are the great sinners, right? So it's actually, it's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse number 12, right? See. Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasa rakshasam asurim chaiva prakriti mohinam shritaha. So here, see, in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the Brihad Vishnu Smriti, right? From Brihad Vishnu Smriti, he says, it clearly states, Yo veti bhaktikam deham krishnasya paramatmana sa sarvasmat bhishkara shrauta smarta vidanataha mukham tasya valokyapi sa chelam snanam acharet. So what Brihad Vishnu Smriti says, Yo Veti Bhaktikam Deham, those people, those who consider Krishnasya Paramatmahana, those who consider the Krishna or the Supreme Lord, who is the Paramatma, his body to be bhaktikam, to be a bhautik body, to be a material deha, to be an ordinary human body. Sa sarvasmat bahishkara, unka bahishkar kar dena chahiye. They should be driven out from all kinds of ritual activities of Shrauta Smarta Vidanataha, of any kind of Shruti and Smriti, any kind of ritualistic activities. We should not involve them. We should not involve all these materialistic people who think that Krishna is an ordinary human being. What to talk about involving them? It further says, Mukham tasyavalokyapi sachelam snanam acharet. And if somebody sees, by any chance, if sees his face, one should immediately go and take bath in the Ganga to get rid himself of such an infection, of such a contagious disease of considering Krishna as a human. So one who considers the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out from all rituals and activities of the Shruti and Smriti. And if by any chance one sees his face, one should at once take bath in the Ganges to rid oneself from infection. So this is how the materialistic people are, that we should try to avoid their association. Why? Because if we associate with them, our spiritual life will be 100% doomed, 100% doomed. But the Lord manifested, so this is the first class of people for whom he manifested his fever pastime. Rest 3 will be explained in text number 17. Prakrita lokera praya vaikuntha ishware loka shiksha dekhaite dhara lena jwara. So this jwara, this fever, dhari lena, the Lord accepted, unhone dharan kiya is fever ko. For what? Loka shiksha dekhaite, to show the local people, to show the ordinary people. He accepted. And who is he? He is Vaikuntha Ishwara. He is Vaikuntha Ishwara. He is the Supreme Lord himself. But still he accepted that jwara. He accepted that fever. For Prakrita Lokera Praya. Praya means almost, right? For those who are Prakrita, those who are materialistic people, for them he manifested this fever pastime. So we'll read the purport. The Sachidananda body of Vishnu, who is controller of Maya. We all know that the Supreme Lord is Maya-ish, right? He is the master of Maya. He is the controller of Maya, right? He is Maish. Is never subjected to transformations like happiness and distress. Because karma, this happiness and distress comes because of karma. And Krishna is not bound by any laws. Because karma acts when Maya comes into picture. But Krishna is beyond everything. Maya itself is working under the direction of Krishna. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Krishna himself says, I am the adhyaksh. I am the principal. Under my supervision, this Maya works. Daivi esha gunamai mama maya durattaya. This is my Maya, Krishna says. So Maya itself is working under the superintendence of Krishna. So how it can affect Krishna? It cannot. So therefore, Lord is never subjected to transformations like happiness and distress, as it is being experienced by mere mortal souls. One who considered the fully Satchidananda Vigraha of Sri Chaitanya Dev as equal to that of an ordinary living entity will certainly sink in the mire of grave offenses. We saw that it's a great offense that even if one sees the face of such a person who is atheist or who is against understanding that Krishna is supreme, should really go and take bath in Ganga. The point is, not literally, because right now we come across with so many atheistic people, especially when we go for Sankirtan or we go for book distribution. Every time we just cannot go and take bath in that river. But the point is, don't associate with them. Try to avoid their association. Try to avoid their company. Now, this is the important point. Fearing, this Lord is thinking, fearing that living entities, those living entities who are forced to accept the fruits of their material activities, basically who are qualified for being punished by Yamaraj, and who are subjected to bewilderment and death, would consider their mundane bodies spiritual. This is the fear. This is the second class of people. First class of people is the ordinary men who consider Krishna's body as an ordinary body, as consider Krishna also as a mere mortal soul. Now, next class of people are those living entities who are actually in a mundane body. They are mundane body, but they pretend themselves that my body is spiritual. So to teach them, Mahaprabhu enacted this pastime. How? Because Baddha Jivas, those who are Baddha Jivas, those who are conditioned living entities, they consider themselves that my body is spiritual. We know. Those who are from India know there are a lot of examples, lot of pseudo sannyasis, lot of pseudo Bhagavan, so-called, they call themselves as Bhagavan. They depict this. They are really in a Baddha Jiva. They are really Baddha Jiva. They are entrapped, engrossed in this material body, and still they advertise as if they are spiritual. And they advertise that I am God, worship me, right? So to teach such class of people, Mahaprabhu enacted this pastime. Because Mahaprabhu says that you are so much conditioned and trapped in this conditioned body, and you are proclaiming that you are God. And here I, who is having this Satchidananda body, is depicting that even person like me can also have a fever. So what are you all talking about? Are you able to get it? So this is the second class of people. To teach them, Mahaprabhu enacted this pastime. I'm sorry. Mahaprabhu enacted this pastime. Now, we see the third one. Now, fearing, this fearing can be used for both the lines. Fearing that the living entities who are forced, fearing that the living entities who are forced to accept the fruits of their material bodies, who are qualified for being punished by Yamaraj, and who are subjected to bewilderment and death, would consider their mundane bodies as spiritual, loudly proclaiming, I am God, worship me, so-called of people. Now, fearing that the Prakriti Sahijyas, this is the third class of people, who would consider themselves transcendently liberated Vaishnavas, the Lord, in order to prohibit this and instruct people, enacted the pastime of suffering from fever as generally experienced by godless living entities. Now, the third category of people are the Prakriti Sahajyas, who take to the process of bhakti, but they take it in a very sahaj form. They take it for granted. They show all the symptoms of Ashta Sattvika Vikar in public, crying in public and dancing madly in public. Like recently in Caitanya Bhagavata, also in the previous chapter, in the glories of Haridas Thakur, we saw that how a Brahmana also was dancing and fainting and was enacting as if, he's much more higher than Haridas Thakur. And that snake charmer could understand, that he is simply enacting the pastime. He is not into it, but he is simply doing the drama. So yes, there are some people who show in public, they'll wear sari, they'll enact as a gopi. Now, we don't have to name all that, but we know that there are such class of people. They are not even on the level of sadhana bhakti. They are not even performing their sadhana properly, and they depict themselves as if they are into bhava bhakti by showing some symptoms in public. So to them, the Lord also manifested this pastime. To teach them also, the Lord manifested this pastime. That how my body, that we know Mahaprabhu's body, he's Kamalanayan, he has such a beautiful eyes. He has such a beautiful body, Mahaprabhu. right? Kamalanan, Hema Kanti, his luster is golden. He's golden in color. And as we know, Ajanu Lambita, and he has his arms stretching down to his knees. So he has such a wonderful body. So if a body like that can get fever, then what to talk about those who are simply depicting themselves as Bhava Bhaktas and still not able to come onto the level of sadhana bhakti. So this is a three class of people. So I hope you all are with me in this session and you are getting the point. So to make them more illusion, in order that ignorant persons bewildered by Maya would become more illusioned. So see how Mahaprabhu is strengthening their faith. Okay, if you want to be an illusion, so be it. I guarantee you that you will be illusioned life after life. So to make them more illusioned, by seeing these pastimes of Sri Gaurachandra exhibiting this fever, the Lord voluntarily accepted the affliction of fever. Voluntarily, it was voluntary acceptance of the Supreme Lord, that he said, okay, if you all want to be an illusion, deep down into illusion, I'll favor it. I'll facilitate you so that you can be in illusion forever. Because Lord doesn't want. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. As you surrender, the Lord will reciprocate. If you are an atheist, Lord will reciprocate in the same manner. So these are the three classes of people. Now the fourth class we will discuss in the next verse. Madhyapathe jware prakashilena ishware shishya gana halena chintate antare. So Madhyapathe, in between to the way to his Gaya, the Lord manifested halfway to Gaya. The Lord manifested this fever pastime, and Shishya Gana Hailina Chintita Antare. And all the students were filled with anxiety because they don't know what to do. They want to employ various means so that this jwara, this fever can come down, but they were filled with anxiety. Pathirahi karilena bahu pratikara. All those, they employed various pratikara, various remedies. They employed various remedies so that the Lord's fever can come down. Tathapi na chhade jware he na ichatara. But still that jwara, that fever was not coming down. Why? Because it was Lord's desire. Lord voluntarily accepted. So till the time Krishna doesn't want, till the time the Lord himself doesn't want the fever should go away, how can the fever go away? The fever will not go away. So the fever did not subside because it was Lord's desire. What to talk about Lord, even the Mahabhagavats devotees, even the pure devotees of the Lord, even if they desire something, Krishna becomes subservient to their desire. Krishna becomes subservient to their desire because their desire wins over the Lord's thing. Why their desire wins over to the Supreme Lord's will? Because they are 100% surrendered to the Supreme Lord. So when a devotee becomes 100% Supreme Lord, his will overdo the will of the Supreme Lord. His will supersedes the will of the Supreme Lord. Because Krishna says, Aham Bhakta Paradhina. Because I am not, though Bhagavatam says that I am Swarat, right? I am Abhigna Swarat. The very first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, I am Abhigna Swarat, I am cognizant and I am independent. But later, Krishna says, though I am independent, I am Swarat, but still, Aham Bhakta Paradhina. Still, I am dependent on my bhaktas. Why? Because my pure devotees, they conquer me. I sell myself to them. So their desire supersedes my desire. Right? So here also, the Supreme Lord himself, now he doesn't want his fever to go away just like that. He wants a proper way through which his fever can go. So no matter how much remedies all those other devotees who were assisting Mahaprabhu, how much they can employ, but still those remedies were not working out because it was not aligned to the will of the Supreme Lord. But then text 20, which gives the fourth reason why, not fourth reason, but the fourth class of people, Mahaprabhu accepted this fever. Tabe Prabhu Vyavasthila aushadha apane sarva dukha khande vipra padoda ke pane. Then Mahaprabhu, he employed his own medicine. He prescribed his own medicine. व्यवस्थिला औषधि, उन्होंने अपनी औषधि खुद बनाई. Like Mahaprabhu, he made his own medicine. And what he says, sarva dukha khande, सब दुखों का नाश करने वाला. Khande means to cut down all the sufferings. Vipra pado dakha phane, I need the water that has washed the lotus feet of a Brahmana. Vipra pada udaka, udaka means water or fluid. I want to drink, pan, I want to drink the water that has washed the feet of a Brahmana. If you bring that water, my sufferings will be relieved. It sarva dukha khande, all my sufferings will be relieved. So this was the remedy that Mahaprabhu told to all the associates, all his Shishya Ganas, that go and get that water, and by drinking that water, this fever will go away. So this is the fourth class of people that Mahaprabhu, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that why Mahaprabhu enacted this fever pastime. The fourth is he wants to protect the prestige of those topmost Brahmanas who know the science of Vishnu. So why he's saying that you bring the water that has washed the lotus feet of all the Brahmanas? Why? Because we know Bhakta Pada Dhuli ar Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukte Avasheshatina Mahabal. These are the three great powerful substances. These are the great powerful substances, and it is not an exaggeration. It is really not an exaggeration. We really have to dive deep into these things, because Shastra is saying that these are the Tina Mahabal, these are the three powerful substances. What is that? Bhakta Pada Dhuli are the dust that is there at the feet of the Vaishnavas. To take that dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. Bhakta Pada Jal, to drink that water that has washed the lotus feet of a devotee. And Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, and to take the remnants of food that is left by a devotee. Tina Mahabal, these are the three powerful substances. So to establish this point, Mahaprabhu said, go and get the water that has washed the lotus feet of the Brahmanas, because he wants to protect the prestige of the Brahmanas, to establish this point that we should not consider Vaishnavas to be the ordinary souls. And we should always hanker to get the dust of their lotus feet, to get the water that has washed their lotus feet, and also to get the remnants. Now, all these things are figuratively also true, and literally also they are true. So literally also, whenever we get a chance, we should try to take the dust of the lotus feet of a Mahabhagavad devotee, and we should also try to take their remnants, and we should also wash their lotus feet, especially when Guru Vargas come, we wash their lotus feet, and with that water, we just don't throw that water. With full faith, with full conviction, we should drink that water, because it's a powerful substance. It's not, it doesn't become an ordinary water. Rather, it becomes a first-class thing, of very powerful substance for us to help us in our spiritual progress. Right? So to establish this, Mahaprabhu enacted this pastime. Now here, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is giving us the warning that who are the Brahmanas. So His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu actually explained in his Monday class that actually what is Brahmanism and Vaishnavism, right? But in a nutshell, the Brahmana, the true Brahmana or a Vaishnava is a one who is 100% Krishna conscious, period. 100% absorbed, who know the science of Vishnu. That's what even Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur is saying. So to know the science of Vishnu, those who know the science of Vishnu, those who are 100% Krishna conscious are actually Brahmanas, and they are the first class devotees. They are the Mahabhagavad devotees. Not the Brahmanas who are, he's saying, not the Prakriti Sahajyas who become covered by the conceptions of caste consciousness and end up drinking ordinary water that has washed the feet of demoniac Brahmanas. Not the demoniac Brahmanas, but the real Brahmanas who are Krishna conscious, right? If one shows the symptom of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to the symptoms of classification. So the Brahmanas who are devoted to Achyuta, see, here it is written, a Brahmana who knows the science of Brahman, neither consider his body or his self, nor engages in any mental speculation. His intelligence is not bewildered by limited, temporary, enjoyable material objects. Why? Because his consciousness is fully spiritualized. He should give up material conceptions and cultivate Krishna consciousness while understanding his relationship with the Supreme Lord. That's a first-class Brahmana. That is a first-class Vaishnava. That is a first-class Mahabhagavat, pure devotee, of whose lotus feet water, dust, and food, we should try to accept it. We should always accept. Then he says, Dharma Shastra, he quotes, Brahma Tattvam na janati, Brahma Shutre na garvita, tataiva sacha papena, vipra pashurudharta. One who proudly advertises himself as a pure Brahmana, but is not aware of the absolute truth, because of this sin called a Pashu Vipra. And because of this sin, because he is advertising himself as a Brahmana, but he doesn't know anything about the spiritual science or doesn't know anything about the supreme absolute truth, he is a Pashu Brahmana, animal Brahmana, Pashu Vipra. And therefore, drinking their water what will happen? Even we will become Pashus. Therefore, by drinking the water that has washed the feet of such Pashu Vipras, ordinary, foolish, bewildered living entities will also immediately become Pashus or animals. So see, now we'll just do that. There are 4 categories. To teach these 4 categories of people, Mahaprabhu enacted this fever pastime. So first was normal, ordinary people who think that the Supreme Lord body is also ordinary. Second class, those who proclaim themselves as pseudo Bhagwan Vishnu, and tell everybody, worship me, to teach them. Mahaprabhu enacted these pastimes. And third is the Prakriti Sahajas, to teach them also, who just take bhakti as so sahaj, as so granted, and show all the symptoms in public. For them also Mahaprabhu enacted these pastimes. And the 4th category of people is to protect the prestige of the pure Brahmanas, who are very conversant in the science of Krishna consciousness. So these are the 4 reasons. Viprapado de kare mahima bhujai te pana kari lena prabhu apana shakshate. The Lord drank the water. So all the disciples, all the students, they immediately bring that water, and the Lord drank that water that has washed the feet of Brahmanas in order to reveal its glories. Viprapado de ke pana karila ishvara se ishane shushta haila hara nahi jvara. And as soon as he drank that water that has washed the feet of that Vipra, of the pure Brahmanas, as soon as Mahaprabhu accepted, Shaishane, that moment only, susta haila, he becomes swastha. Till now he was aswastha. He was depicting this fever pastimes. He was showing that he is under weather, he is under illness. But now that fever immediately subsided, and ara nahi jwara, and there was no more fever, and susta haila, and he felt very relief. He became swastha. So we covered till text 22, and from 23 onwards, we will see Monday, because it's already 12 o'clock. So we'll stop here. So thank you all so much for your association. Hope it makes some sense, whatever I try to do it with my limited knowledge. But if there are any corrections, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Mataji, very, very big. Oh, sorry. Padma.
Go ahead, Mataji, please.
No, let her go.
Okay. Parima Mataji, you raised your hand?
No, Mataji, you let her continue. I just have a question. I can ask that later. Let her continue, Mataji.
Go ahead, Yashomati Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, very, very nice session to understand all the things. And one question I have, Mataji, that whatever you talk about the Shraddha ceremony, but if one, they do the Shraddha not at home, but they just give charity in the temple on the same day, the Shraddha day, is it okay?
As per my limited knowledge, it's okay, but provided make sure it's not Ekadashi.
Yeah, that's true. Not Ekadashi.
It's okay to give charity in the temple, to feed the Brahmanas, to feed the Vaishnavas, to sponsor the Sunday feast in the temple, so
Yeah.
that Vaishnavas can be fed. All these methods are okay.
Oh, that's what.
But the point is that what is offering oblations to forefather is to offer food for Lord Vishnu, to offer food, to make food, first of all, to prepare the food offerings for the Supreme Lord, offer it, finally the remnants to be given to the forefathers. So even if we don't have that much, we can, at home, we can cook something, offer to the Supreme Lord, offer to the deities, and then we can offer the same thing in a different plate to the pictures of our forefathers. This way we can, manasik, we can tell that, please accept the remnants of Lord Vishnu. So this way we can do, but yes, giving it to the temple, sponsoring the Sunday feast in the name of our forefathers is also okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so very, very nice class. And you just told about everything that on Ekadashi we should not do anything in this. And why the Mahaprabhu did this enacted pastime of this. And you just describe about all 4 kinds of people. So it's very, very nice to hear that all the things in very deeply. So it helps us to understand everything. So this is very nice, Mataji. So thank you very
Mataji,
much.
Dandatna Mataji. Dandatna, one question, Mataji, the thing. My mother died on Ekadasi Tithi, and always till now we were doing, unknowingly we were doing that Ekadasi Tithi only they were doing. And hereafter we can tell, or nobody advised us on this, no Progidas or anything in our district in Kanyakumari or Tamil Nadu, they never advised. They used to tell us to do that Shraddha on the Ekadasi Tithi only. And all these things, as you told Mataji, to give the feast to the Lord Vishnu, and then to the other thing, we are all doing to the parents only, and then eating and that Tithi and all. Mataji, any distinction?
Yes, sorry to hear that, Mataji, but that's fine. Whatever you have been doing in ignorance, it's okay. You can ask for forgiveness, and from here onwards, make sure that you don't do it on Ekadashi, as Jiva Goswami has very nicely written that you can do it on Dwadashi day. You can do it on the next day. And if not possible, then Amavasya is equal. You can do Amavasya, right, that day. And secondly, see, offering oblations to the forefathers, the main reason is to give them the remnants of Vishnu. So directly giving them will add no value. Making food and offering them will add no value at all. The point is that you have to offer it to Lord Vishnu and then give the remnants, give them prasad. So that is very important. So make sure that from here onwards, whenever you do that Shraddha ceremony, first of all, try to not do it on Ekadashi, do it on Dwadashi Tithi. And secondly, offer it first to Lord Vishnu and then give the remnants to your
Thank you, Mataji, for enlightening me about this thing. Thank you, Dandatna Mataji. Dandatna.
I was just repeating the words of our...
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Parima Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Actually, I have 2 questions. First is the follow-up on what you just said that, if we are not able to do oblations, first, can we do the oblation ceremony at our ISKCON? No, right? Does anybody do it?
Like what? Like
the homam ceremony. I think we have to do a homam, right? That's what I have heard.
We can do the homam, but not as a Shraddha Homa.
Okay.
In ISKCON, nobody does this Shraddha Homa.
Okay.
Because there are some prerequisites to perform this Shraddha Homa. Like my son is into it, so he told that you have to chant your Gayatris 1 lakh times 1 million times. So instead of chanting 1 million times Gayatris, it's better to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Yeah.
So, but what I tell him and what he does when we do this during this Shraddha ceremony is he performs Narshinga Homa. So, which is the protection for everybody. And of course, for the forefathers. And then I just prepare some bhoga, offer it to our deities, and then I offer it to the forefathers, to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. So this is how we used to do it. So Homa can be done, but it can be either a Shanti Homa or a Narsingadev Homa.
And one more question, Mataji. We have not seen all our forefathers, but can we just mentally remember them and offer?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, and I have this one question where this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he, enacted this fever pastime. But Mataji, it's a little bit confusing for me, because I think that if somebody comes to a realization, I'm like a very ordinary person, very, very ordinary. I cannot even, someone like me. If somebody comes to a realization that, this Mahaprabhu is a supreme personality of Godhead, then don't you think they would have a better chance of becoming a pure devotee rather than just strengthening their faith of going, wayward and not basically accepting Mahaprabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Actually, that's true, as you said. But Mahaprabhu doesn't want himself to be known as the Supreme Lord by some fear or by some duty, but out of love. If somebody is doing it out of fear, then Mahaprabhu says, better stay in your own cocoon, wherever you are. Don't come out of it. So, but if somebody really wants to know Mahaprabhu and respects Mahaprabhu and love Mahaprabhu, then Mahaprabhu is open to them. So like we see that in Srivas Angan, there were so many confidential devotees with whom Mahaprabhu was there. And there is a pastime that how there was a Brahmana who was a milk-drinking Brahmana who came, right? And he wanted to witness that pastime. But Mahaprabhu says, no, you are proud of your being a milk-drinking Brahmana, that you drink milk only once in a day. You are being proud of it. So you have no eligibility, no adhikar to witness these pastimes. So for you, I will be I will not show myself. I'll be in a covered form. But the moment he said that, the milk Brahmana, then when he repented and he became humble, then Mahaprabhu immediately accepted and allowed him to witness those pastimes or those sankirtans. So, yes, you said that if a person, ordinary person, but how that ordinary person will feel if the Supreme Lord, just by having that fever, an ordinary person cannot understand that he is Supreme Lord, because people in Navadvip were envious, were blasphemers. See the context behind it. Mahaprabhu is already witnessing that so many people, ordinary people, they are simply blaspheming Vaishnavas. They are not on the level where they forget about respecting the Vaishnavas. They are not even level of understanding that they are Vaishnavas. So if we keep the context in mind, then Mahaprabhu's point is right, that, okay, if you want to be like an ordinary person, be it. Be in that cocoon forever and suffer life after life. I don't want to train you. I don't want to tell you something. I don't want to show you something. Rather, if you are into that mentality, be in that mentality forever. Right? So if we see the context behind that, what the condition of the people were there in that Navadvip, to safeguard that condition, whatever Mahaprabhu did was right.
I always thought, of course, because Mahaprabhu is a prema avatar. He incarnated just so that he can give Krishna prem freely to people. So I was just thinking in that context that, if he would have given them Krishna prem, maybe they would have purified.
Yeah, you are right. Actually, Mahaprabhu is Mahavadannaya, who is just given Jare Dekho Tare Kaho Krishna Upadesh. Mahaprabhu is giving Jare Dekho, what is that verse?
Jare Dekho
Krishna Naam. He always gives Krishna Naam. He is giving Krishna Prem here and there. But still he has some prerequisites. He has still some prerequisites. Whereas Nityananda Prabhu, he is different. He is Avadut. He can give to anybody. No eligibility required, no prerequisites required.
I remember Adi Gadadhar
Yes.
saying that he would, Mahaprabhu would give the test paper and he would ask us to write the test, and Nityanand Prabhu will give you the answers and say, write it down and come to me.
Come to
Yes.
me. Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada will say, don't even come to me, I will come to you.
That's true.
Devotees go door to door and tell them, hey, Krishna is knocking your door, open the door and take the books. Srila Prabhupada is much more merciful.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much for the clarification. Now I think I'm getting a better idea from your contextual point of view. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Done
And
with.
Gurudev will tell us question paper. What's the question paper? I don't know if there is anything called as a question paper.
Mataji, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu gave an example that way.
An example.
That, if you have, suppose if you have to write an exam.
Mataji, I am trying to give an answer, Mataji. I understood the question.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking something else.
If you will ask me, you can repeat again.
Yeah, please.
He said what Prabhupada would say, right? For that I said, then our Guru Vargas will say, oh, question paper? Is there something called as a question paper? Is there something called as an exam? They would ask that.
Yeah. Okay, now I got your point, Mataji. Thank you so much. That's true, actually. We are given, but we have at least person like me has no good qualification, but yeah, our Guru Vargas are really very, very merciful. That's true. Very true. Jai Pataka, Amarendra Prabhu once said that Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj would like, if he's in a hospital, you said, can I initiate the person who is just in the next room or is on the next bed? Okay, if he's terminally ill, I'll initiate him. He is so merciful, Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Preeti, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, thank you so much for such an interesting class. This is about Mandara Parvat. Can you show me where it is in Navadvip?
It's not in Navadvip as such. I'll show you the verse.
I'm trying to get a picture of it or trying to find the location of it. So.
Not in Navadvip because Mahaprabhu has already left Navadvip. The words Mandara Madhusudana explained. From Calcutta to EBR or ERI railway, one should go to Bhagalpur station because it's in Madhya Pradesh.
I see. Okay.
Right. And from there, because Gaya itself is in Madhya Pradesh, right? So Mahaprabhu is still not reached Madhya Pradesh, halfway. And from there, take the branch railway to Mandara Hill Station. It's situated about the peak of Mandara Hill. This is top of the hill are the two temples. So actually, it's in Bhagalpur Station. You come to Bhagalpur Station, which is in MP.
Okay, I will look it up, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Mataji, as you were discussing about we doing the Shraddha, I was just thinking Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says those who worship the Pitras goes to the Pitras. So how do we...
We are not worshipping Pitras. We are not worshipping Pitras. Offering oblations to forefathers is not worshipping Pitras. Worshipping Pitras is a different category altogether. We went once to Sankirtan, we were with the Sankirtan devotees, we were distributing books from door to door. So we knocked at one of the door and I showed him the Bhagavad Gita. And especially I showed him that reincarnation picture. We just said all that transcript of Vaisheshika Prabhu, how to distribute the books. So I was just explaining about that picture, about how we reincarnate. And he immediately stopped me and he said, I worship my forefathers. I don't want this Bhagavad Gita. So he immediately stopped me and he slammed that door and he said, it's okay. So those are the people who worship the Pitras. They don't have a picture of a deity or Krishna or any demigod at their home. They have the picture of their forefathers, their father, their mother, maybe their grandfather, grandmother, and they worship, showing them do parati, and whatever they do, it's they are in the center of everything. That they are the pitras. They worship the pitras and go to pitralok. But here, when we offer oblations to the fire, we are not worshipping pitras. Rather, we are worshipping Krishna. We are worshipping Lord Vishnu. We are offering the food to him, and we are requesting him that we are giving your remnants to our pitras so that they get the higher destination. There is a difference. For the benefit of them, we are performing this Shraddha ceremony so that the forefathers are benefited and they get liberated. But worshipping the pitras is altogether a different level. Hope that helps, Madhavi.
Yes, Mataji. So it's almost like on behalf of the forefathers, we are worshipping Krishna or Vishnu, right?
On behalf of them, because maybe they have not done it in their lifetime. So when now we are Krishna conscious, we have to follow this and we do it and we offer the remnants to them, because taking the remnants of Krishna or Vishnu, they will be liberated.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. That makes sense. Thank you, Mataji. Haribol Dandavatam.
Okay, anything else?
Mataji, I have some question. Whatever my daughter asked me yesterday, I was talking whatever we got a class from Hari Varya Das Prabhu, and I was talking with my daughter, and my daughter said, "Why only crows are coming?" I said, "I don't know why."
We can offer it to cow, a dog, a crow, means a bird, an animal.
Yeah.
Cow. It's not only the crows, but as such, I don't know the reason.
Yeah.
Only crows, but
because when we do the kagvas or something, then all crows coming. When I was little, I saw that. So I told her like that. So she said, "Why only crows?" I said, "I don't know about that."
Basically feeding different species, the remnants. That, of course, we should try to do it. Whatever the leftover remnants are, instead of wasting that anna, we can feed them. But the point is to feed the Vaishnavas. Offering oblations to forefathers is actually to feed the Vaishnavas.
Because
Brahmanas, that too not of those who are born in Brahmanical life or born in Brahmanical family, but those who follow the Brahmanical rules. That is more important. Feeding.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we do right now. But before, when I was little, I saw that my mom was doing kagvas. Before
coming to Krishna consciousness, the thing was different.
Yeah.
Because we were just following the orders that as descending down from forefathers.
Right.
But now we
I just want to know,
we have to follow the
funny question, but
Hare Krishna.
No. So if nobody have any question or realization, can we end our call, Mataji, if your permission is?
Sure, Mataji.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Mataji, for very enlightening class today. And we are very grateful to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, Mataji. We look forward to your association again in future. So, vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. हर ग्रेस कीर्तिदा सुंदरी देवी दासी माता जी की जय. हरि बोल.
जय गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. और ये संबोध वैष्णवास की जय.
जय. हरि बोल.
Thank you, dear devotees, for joining us, and thank you, Mataji.